It's the one only the Spottic, bringing you guys another gameplay commentary. This is Black Desert Online, and this is in fact my build. Someone wanted me to post it, and here it is. I've not posted a build in a while, and that build is a bit outdated, so hopefully this can help anyone out who wants to play this class and wants to see, a different approach, right? There are lots of videos on YouTube that, no real knock against them, but like combo videos where they have filler damage with down smash, with skills that have a down smash attached to it. And I don't think that is like effective ways to land a combo. You're almost defeating the purpose. So let's get to it. Some of the things most of you guys already know, so I'll go over my skills, my bombs, my crystals, and just some of my combos. And my combos are very straightforward. They're not flashy. I just try to kill players, and I have a mindset of dishing out tremendous amount of damage. So, because if you don't have that damage, players will push up on you. Anyway, I went off on a little tangent there, but I should stick to the point. All right, so let's start with just the theme behind this build, right? My goal is to have as much health and to put out as much damage. We are Sorcs is similar to strikers and mystics in a sense that a striker and mystic can stack up an evasion and DP and have just a a small amount of damage, so they can have 274, 269, right? 269, 274 damage and have over AP and over 400 DP. And they're still able to kill you. Now, a Sorc is the flip side to that. They can have as much damage as possible, right? And don't focus heavily on DP because they have ways to mitigate damage that doesn't rely on just being able to tank damage, right? They have ways to mitigate that, right? You might have, almost consistent frontals. A lot of players don't use it, but I use it often, right? And you'll find out not only does DR and resistances help your frontal guard, but health also helps your frontal guard. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going with health. All right, so let's get into the build, to the skills. I'll just go over what you need. You need Darkness Release. You want all versions of Midnight Stinger, Bloody Calamity, Claws, which allows you to get into Dark Flame. They've since changed this skill. I used to think this is the hardest skill to use, but now they've made it quite easy to use. Beat Kick. I still don't know what to think about this. We've recently had a change. It's not a nerf. To me, it's more of a buff. They removed the bound version to this, so you just have just an air smash and air attack. But the reason you use beat kick, is for that -9% evasion. Most Sorcs do not use this. They might be attempting to be flashy with this, so that's probably, they might be attempting to be flashy. So this might be the only reason that they attempt to use it. Mark of Shadow, this is a PvE skill. Gets to pull multiple mobs, right? Shadow Eruption lock, Shadow Eruption locked ultimate version. No player in his or her right mind would want to follow up immediately with a second CC after the primary one, right? You want to add filler damage. Lock this. It gets you into the animation when you're using Midnight Stinger, so lock it. You want all versions of Dream of Doom. Imminent Doom allows you to quick cast, but it changes from a knockdown to a stiff, so keep that in mind. Dark Tendrils, still using this skill. This comes from the Magnus. I'm still a bit iffy about this skill. It does tremendous amount of damage. You can cancel it. But again, like all Sorc hard-hitting skills, you're very stationary. Shadow Kick, right? It gives you plus 6% accuracy for 10 seconds. Magic accuracy. Night Crow, the bane of pretty much everyone's existence, right? This is where a lot of players get this belief that Sorcs have unlimited iframes. They do not. They only have 2 iframes, Night Crow and Shadow Leap. All the other skills have their super armors. They are not iframes. Now, the unique thing about this skill is that it has 0 cooldowns, right? 0 seconds. The other thing about it is that it has a stamina cost associated with it, 250 stam. It used to be, I think it used to be 150 or 200. They've since, we've had a nerf, right? So you have Crow Food here, you have Storming Crow. You know, once you run out of stam, you can use your shards to get, you know, to change your iframe to a super armor. Now, if you run out of shards, you can also use Dark Trade to, you're sacrificing some of your health to give you more shards. You want all of the passives. Make sure you get them. And Unyielding Might is pretty good too. You get them at, I think, level 61 or 62, one of them. Once you've used up all of your skill points, then add some of them into weight training. Now, your Awakened kit, you pretty much want everything. You want to lock a few skills. This gets tricky. It can get you CC'd with that little kick you'll see a little bit later. Come on, show us. All right, there you go. You don't want that to happen, right? You also want to lock this as well. This also creates another issue. So you want to lock Soul Harvest. You want to keep Shadow Leap. Here's another nerf in Shadow Leap, right? We used to be able to regen stam once you use Shadow Leap while you're using Shadow Leap. That is no longer the case. Okay, so that's another slight nerf that Sorcs received. Dead Hunt, you're going to use this in a combo, and I'll discuss that. Violation, amazing ways to catch players. Shadow Leap into Violation. Soul Reaper. Keep in mind that there's a down smash that's attached to this skill, and I'll talk about down smashes in a bit. Grim Reaper, the bane of everyone's existence. This hard-hitting skill, again, it's super armor on casting. Once you release it, you no longer have super armor. You have to use the core version of this to get super armor throughout the entire casting of this skill. Now, there's a reason they added core skills to Awakened classes, because Succession is a lot easier to play, right? Awakened is more difficult because you have to bar swap, as some classes, for example, Sorc, rely heavily on their main bar as well as their Awakened bar. So this is the reason they use it, because they gave the core version. There's the reason they came out with this version for the Awakened kit, because players were just using Succession. Okay, then you have Nightmare, amazing. So Shadow Leap and Nightmare are 2 skills that I use interchangeably when it comes to attempting to be aggressive and also disengage from fights, right? The flow version of that Requiem, amazing, right? And they've given this a buff, because before it used to be a knockdown, and then that is a problem. The fact that they made it a stiff, and I mentioned before, and I'll say it now, a stiff does not count towards the CC limit, as you can see, right? CC limit is 2 CCs. Now it can be 2.5, 2.6, but it's still considered 2, but less than 3, right? So if you use a stiff, you get that 0.7. use another CC, you get that 1.7. Then when you fully use another CC, the player is immune. That's where you want to land your down smashes, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Turn back slash, it's my bread and butter. I use this to catch lots of players. You want to be aggressive, especially those warriors. They want to play aggressive. Turn back slash and flow and Cry of Darkness will keep them at bay, right? They will play the way they should play when they're fighting a Sorc. Slow and methodical. If they do not turtle up, the fight is in your favor. Okay, Wings of the Crow, another movement, and it allows you to be protected using a frontal guard. Okay, take the Grim Core. Makes no sense to take anything else. Why would you take Swirling Darkness and give it a float that has a down smash associated with it? You don't want to do that. Okay, the bombs, I use Shadow Ignition. This is unprotected, but it really catches some players off guard, and the cooldown is not that bad. Engulfing Shadow, another bread and butter. I use it often. I rarely use this skill. As a matter of fact, I don't use this skill because you get trapped in that animation, but this baby is sweet. And there's a theme, right? You want to make up for your weakness. A Sorc's weakness is the fact that it does not have the range to get away. It has ways to get away, but it just doesn't have the range to do it, right? Like there's some players, some classes that can just get away with no issues. Like Musa can get away. Let's not talk about Awakened Drac or just Drac in general, right? So you have to use ways to move your character forward. So Midnight Stinger moves your character forward, even though it's unprotected. Shadow Leap moves it forward. Midnight Stinger, right, into Dark Flame, that moves your character forward. You want to use these skills that allow you to extend your range, not just when you're disengaging, but when you're also engaging. My playstyle is to engage and disengage. I like to be aggressive, and you know that's the approach that I go with. So you'll notice I can go here, and I use this often, right? I've extended the my range, right? Oftentimes, you have to be very careful because some Sorcs are just hesitant not to, use their range. But yeah. So let's so that's why I use Engulfing Shadow, right? Because it allows you to move forward. Let's say you're in Awakened, right? It allows you to, why did I do that? It allows you to move forward. So if you're in Awakened, right, and you want to push up, you see what happens there? It moves you forward, right? So you can do a lot of extending. Okay. All right, let's go to skill. Let's go to add-ons. All right. Dream of Doom, -7% both on casting and movement speed. Turn back slash, as I said before, it's amazing. They've increased the range and it's unprotected, but if you use it based on your positioning, you'll be fine. I always go with -4% accuracy. I'm sorry, evasion, because it has a 9% reduction in evasion, right? It's amazing skill. Dark Hunt, I mentioned this before. I added attack speed and all evasion -4%. Grim Reaper, damage again. Really into this theme of just having high damage so players don't push up on you. The moment they feel that Grim is the moment they back off. Extra damage against humans and also just having casting speed. Swirling Darkness, I mentioned these down smashes. Prior to the rework, we used to have 100% down smash, and that was with Cry of Darkness. That is no longer the case. We're all in line with all of the other skills that have down smashes, right? So we're at 30%, and then I'm adding an additional 15%, which gives it 45% to land a down smash. Okay, so once we get into combos, I'll show you guys what I mean by that. Now let's go into the crystals. Okay, again, with that theme I mentioned, all damage and health. So I'm going with Elkar's Red Spirit, again, health and human damage. Corrupted, I'm not really thinking about back damage. 2 Red Spirit, 2 Glorious Olicus, right? This gives you accuracy and human damage with the theme again, and attack and casting speed, which is really good. Swiftness, right, gives you additional movement speed. I have 2 of these, so increases it by plus 2%. You want to go with this. If you can't afford this version, then just go with the regular ones. I think it doesn't give max health. Then again, I said we're going with Vipers, right? 2 of these gives you plus 10 human damage. You're going with Jin Vipers. We do suffer from accuracy concerns, especially when we're fighting strikers and mystics, because they have that I think it's 9 or 10% defense against magic classes. Tamers have a 9 or 10%. They're weak against magic classes. So if a magic class hits them, they take 10% more damage. Then I went with Karme. I can't have 2 because I have this Bogwangs or Bongwangs. I think the GHs. All right, so it has all accuracy plus 5, all AP plus 4, damage reduction, health, stamina, all special attack damage, 0.5%, special attack evasion, all resistance, ignore all the resistance. It has all of these things. So that's why I went with this. It's fairly easy to get on the console. On the market, on the console. I've tested, just in case you're wondering, I've tested Ultimate Whom, and it is not better, right? You're still getting one combo as a Sorc. What's the point of doing that when you can add a lot of damage where that damage prevents players from pushing up on you? It really makes them think twice, and it alleviates the stamina concern. If a player does not feel like he or she has to deal with damage, they will pressure you. So just keep that in mind. And this is what, and then let's take a look at my cups. I can't change this to health. So I have health here. I have health cups here, right? These are clouded. So all of this is just health. And then I went with damage reduction for my belt, right? Because black distortion earrings, they give you minus 5%. So, if you can cancel that out, you should be good. So a total of 10, minus 10 DR. So if you add an additional 6 to that, you'll have minus 4. So, which I think is perfectly fine. Right, so again, the theme is to put out as much damage as possible and have enough health to stay alive, even though you might have 1 health, right? Enough health to stay alive, and frontals are robust. So just keep those things in mind. Now let's get to combos, and just remember what I mentioned about down smashes, right? There's a 30% chance to do it. So I'll show you guys a bread and butter combo that I used to use, but a combo that I'm using now, which is infinitely better, right? I used to use, Shadow Eruption into Darkness Release, turn back slash, into Grim, into Soul Reaper, into Swirling, and then the player should die. You notice there, I did 2 CCs, right? Which I should have done some fillers in there. I used Midnight Stinger. And then once I got the CC, I started landing down smashes. A down smash does not count towards the duration of your CC. It doesn't count towards the CC limit. So some of you might be thinking, oh, great, let me go ahead and put it in as a filler. You do not want to do that, because a down smash, even though it's really good, it decreases the duration of your CC. So let's say you hit a player with a float. That float is, 1.1 seconds, and you use a down smash after that float without the player reaching their CC limit. You could potentially decrease that duration from 1.1 second to maybe 0.7 seconds. And that creates an issue that you do not want to have. You want to put in filler damage into, right between your first CC, right after your first CC and after your second CC. Right? So the combo I've been using lately, right? Shadow Eruption into Dead Hunt, and Dead Hunt gives you that knockdown. Then you go into all of your CCs, right? And those are me attempting to extend the player, right? So, and this is just 1v1s. So what you're attempting to do, right, is to land these down smashes so you can extend the player, right? So that's one combo. Another thing that I really like to do is to pressure players with blades, right? Blades stays up for a bit. You launch blades, and you come right behind them, right? Shadow Leap into Violation. Just remember, Violation is a float, right? It's a float unless you use the cancel version, which is that, right? If you press R1. So you have to really, I don't want to say pay super close attention, but this is a float, right? And then, if you hit, this is a knockback on good hits. So you really want to be careful, because a knockback does a knockback count towards your, does it? I think they switched this, right? There you go. Great. So a knockback does not count towards the CC limit. It's the same amount as a stiff, which is perfect, because like a few catches that I use in my combo, right? Players, I want them to be honest. So I would launch this, Shadow Leap into Violation. Just remember, now I've hit the limit, and now I can start landing my damage, right? I'm always attempting to, get them to, let me just add a bit more. I'm always attempting to get players, once they've passed the CC limit, to then start adding down smashes, right? Another catch that I use, I'll launch that, catch them with that stiff. Just remember, if it's imminent doom, it's a stiff. So you can Shadow Leap into Violation and still start landing damage. Now, if you're in open world, your window of time to land a lot of damage on players, that window is very short, right? So a lot of my catches, right, are Shadow Eruption into Turnback Slash, and then start my combo, right? Because Turnback Slash, you can cancel it. It's minus 13% with the add-on, minus 13% on the evasion, right? So, you're fishing, you catch the player, you instantly Turnback Slash into Grim. And again, I'm still under the impression that I'm attempting to land down smashes to extend the player, to hopefully kill them, right? And those are just a few combos. So Shadow Eruption, Midnight Stinger, back to Dead Hunt, right? Grim, right? You can go Grim right into Soul Reaper, then into Swirling, right? So those are essentially the combos. Now, if you're dealing with someone that's very tanky, you can go, Midnight Stinger into Shadow Kick, turn back. Well, not turn back, but go into your back bar. And just keep the player on the floor indefinitely. All right. If you have any questions, just let me know. Put it in the comment section or message me. But this is the build. If I forgot something, just let me know. Anyway, I'm out.